So we've gone through all the dimensions of the T-TESS, and what I want to do today is really kind of hit the big points and what I would call is the 80-20 principle as it relates to the T-TESS. And so what the 80-20 principle talks about is that 80% of the results usually come from 20% of the effort. Now on the T-TESS, what you're going to have is that when you look at the next 80% of effort, that's where you move into the upper levels, into the distinguished level of scores on the evaluation. But what I want to look at is the things that you can't even get proficient unless you get there, and frankly if you do it well you begin to move up those different areas. First of all, you've got to plan with purpose and detail. How you plan, you don't leave anything to chance. You don't just say it'll be however it's going to be. Everything from dividing up and determining who's in groups to what kind of lessons and how to modify things, you're going to plan well ahead of time. You've got to get students involved. Frankly, to the extent that we keep students engaged is to the extent that we're going to increase their learning. So we've got to get them involved in the process. We want to develop character. Now, in the T-TESS, it talks about socio-emotional improvements and competency and that kind of thing. But frankly, we want to develop character in our kids. And here's the reason as much as anything else. One, it's the right thing to do. But the second thing is that if we can get through that development of character, 5% better effort, we're going to make a huge difference overall at the end of the year on how our students perform. We want to guide students toward taking ownership of their own learning. We want them to feel that sense of responsibility that they need to take care of themselves as much as they possibly can. We want to bridge instruction to accountability. A lot of highly engaging lessons don't automatically move into improving the accountability issue, especially the STAR and end-of-course exams. And so if you teach one of those courses, we need to be aware that this is how students are ultimately going to be held accountable, and frankly how the campus is looked at as far as how good a job it does with kids. And so we want to make sure that as our engaging activities come back and they know what it looks like in the way they're going to be held accountable later on. You want to be sure you monitor and have students monitor their own progress. It should not be a secret to the students where they're struggling. They ought to be able to graph and tell anybody exactly what they need when they go into whether the regular classroom or the tutoring or anywhere down the line. They need to know exactly where they are as well as the teacher. Along with that and similar, you want to use data to find gaps and weaknesses, and that data not only is within student performance, but you can look at yourself as a teacher and determine where you need help at different points. You want to connect with parents and community members. Frankly, to the extent that you can get parents involved with what's going on, you're going to get that much more out of that student. And community members too. Don't be the best kept secret in your area. Make sure people know the good things that you're doing and build those relationships long before you actually need them. And then finally, you want to always get better, be your own best coach. Recognize where you want to be as a professional, what kind of trainings you need to get there, anything that you need to improve upon. Don't wait for the principal to tell you what it needs to be. You work to get to that point on your own. Just as we want our students to take ownership in their learning, we want teachers to take ownership in their learning. And we do have a book coming out before too long. It'll be in probably 2 or 3 weeks on Proficient to Distinguished, Mastering the T-TESS. We'd love for you to get it if you're interested. And at UT Tyler, we want to be a part of any learning that you have going on. Please let us know what we can do.